Welcome back to Heart of Glass, the podcast, the show that takes a deeper, more in-depth look at the humans that make up the heartbeat of the Glass City. My name is Ashley Cohn, and I'm your host, and I'm so glad that you've decided to join us, whether it's listening or watching. We are filming once again at Toledo Spirits, our wonderful sponsor, and per usual, we are serving our guests Heart of Glass vodka, and if you haven't had a chance to try it yet, it's delicious. We've had confirmation from every guest that they've enjoyed it. So if you haven't been to Toledo Spirits too, come out and check it out. It's an awesome place to be, and they serve wonderful drinks. Today's guest is a Northwest Ohio resident serving our community through her passion and artistry. She is the owner and creator of Vibe Garden Images, a boutique wedding photography business focused on radical personalization and authenticity. And she places a big focus on connection with her clients and helping each one to better connect with themselves. So Glass City humans, I give you Cassidy Ladd. Cassidy, thank you so much for being here.
I'm so excited.
I'm so excited that you're excited. I know that Tiernan, our videographer, was excited for this to be your recording day because I know you two have an excellent friendship and a really good working relationship.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm excited to get to know you a little bit better.
Thank you.
So you've lived in Toledo since you were 2, so you're definitely a Toledo native. And growing up, you changed schools, I think you said 3 times?
Yeah, yep.
And you said that you dealt with quite a bit of bullying for being the new girl that was just a little bit weird. You also described yourself as quirky and silly, which I consider to be really good traits. And you said that you always just wanted to be friends with everyone because you, in general, love people. Why do you think that kids sometimes have a tendency to bully other kids that they just simply don't understand?
I think, it goes beyond kids, and we could ask the same for
adults, right? Yeah.
Well. I don't know exactly. I think, we're maybe intimidated by things that we don't understand.
Definitely.
Or I think in some instances, maybe there's certain traits that you don't necessarily like about yourself, and when you see them in other people, maybe that kind of strikes a chord with some people as well.
Definitely.
I also think there's just, the schools I went to were all pretty small schools. We're talking, 150 kids per class and under. So those schools I feel like can get a little bit more cliquey, and just being the new person and not having those connections, you're just kind of an easy target, I guess.
That makes a lot of sense. You also kind of strike me as a person who practices radical acceptance of people because you said you just want to be friends with everyone. And from where I'm sitting, I think that's somewhat of a foreign concept to people as a whole, to just look at somebody and just love them instantly and radically accept them. So I think sometimes people are just scared to radically accept people exactly as they are, but unfortunately they end up missing out on getting to know and have relationships from really awesome people when they do that, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So you said that when you moved to Wauseon in 7th grade, you made friends with an extraordinary group of young women, and it sounds like they had a very positive, long-lasting impact on you. Can you tell me more about your friends and how meeting them changed your life?
Honestly, it wasn't even until I sat down to kind of write through my story and send it to you that I really realized how much meeting those girls completely changed my life around, because I had that group of people telling me, like, being yourself is enough, and that's okay, and your silly, quirky passion and creativity isn't something to be made fun of, but actually something to cherish and something to, pour into and watch grow. And all of my friends that I've met in 7th grade, we just actually had our 10-year reunion from high school, and we're still connected in a group chat, and all of us have gone on to do amazing things, from like working with the Senate of the United States to someone went on to become a pastor, someone is working with the Memphis Grizzlies doing graphic design for them, and so we kind of have all gone our separate ways and conquered the world and done really cool and unique things that I'm not sure that we would have the passion and the confidence to follow those kind of passions if we didn't have each other encouraging each other and saying, like, these are fun and cool, unique things to pursue, and not, you're lame for liking that,
right. That makes a lot of sense. I think we're often encouraged to fit in certain boxes and not so much encouraged to just go out and be uniquely who you are, especially if it goes against the grain. So to meet a group of young women at such a young age that were about going against the grain and encouraging you to be unique and be special and go after what you want. I could see how being in that kind of environment and being around people who were so encouraging would really make a difference in all of your lives, to really push you to do exactly what you want to do in your life.
Exactly, because I feel like our nerdiness and our quirkiness went from being something that made people make fun of us to being a badge of honor that we wore, which people still made fun of us, but we were laughing with each other. So
it's a lot easier to take criticism though when you are surrounded by a group of people that are there to help you say, I know you're hearing these things, but just ignore them because they don't really matter. It's a lot easier to do that when you have a support system as opposed to when you're fighting that on your own.
Mm-hmm. And shout out to those friends. You all know who you are, but I love you. Thank you.
Oh, I love that so much. So then you went to Dartmouth for college, and it kind of sounds like it's almost like you were starting back at the beginning socially. That had to have been kind of tough, going from this really tight-knit group of friends who really supported you and encouraged you to be who you were, to almost kind of being set back in time a little bit. And so even though your first few years were tough, how did your experience with your high school friend group help you find your new tribe when you were at college?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I think too, just Dartmouth College in general and New England culture in general is very different from Midwestern culture.
How so?
Yes. I'm just gonna be frank. There's a lot of rich people that go to school at Dartmouth. The very, very wealthy people whose family have been giving to the college for many generations. And I mean, I don't come from wealth like that. So kind of seeing that stark inequality of there's really intelligent, amazing, brilliant minds who have worked so hard to come here, mixed with, people who, I don't want to say they paid their way in because they worked and got their spot as well, but I'm sure their family legacy, didn't hurt their chances.
A bit of a financial advantage.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so just trying to make my way in that world alone was difficult. But I feel like once you know what true friendship is like and you have those people that you cannot talk to for 5 years and come back and you pick up exactly where you left off, and just the people who allow you to be you and encourage you, when you have that and when you know that, you kind of don't settle again for friends who aren't like that. That makes a lot of sense. So I just kind of held out. I mean, it was difficult. It's always difficult finding your way in a new environment and kind of paving your space. But once I did find those people in college that made me feel the same way that my high school friends did, it was just, there was no going back. It was an instant connection.
That's wonderful. I know you said that your high school friends definitely set a high bar, which I'm sure would make it a little bit harder to really find people that would live up to that. But like you said, it seems like you had a really good foundation for looking for and knowing what to identify in people as individuals who you want to attach your cart to their horse in a sense.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. So after leaving college, you got an engineering job at a place that you interned at years prior, and even had plans to return to school for additional engineering degrees. But the return to school didn't happen, and it sounds like it was for a very good reason, because you fell in love. So it sounds like Sean, your partner, has had a huge impact on the trajectory of your life. So can you share a little bit about your love story and how he encouraged your exploration of photography?
Absolutely, yes. So I met him right after I graduated college, and like you said, my plan was to go back. I have a Bachelor of Arts degree in Engineering Sciences modified with studio art, but I wanted to go back for a Bachelor of Science, which is just a more specialized engineering degree.
Okay.
So I was coming home for the summer, I got a summer job, and I met this guy. I had known him years prior just through mutual friends, and we just kind of stayed friends on Instagram.
Okay.
And oh my gosh, I'm such a millennial right now. He liked one of my pictures, and so I checked out his profile. I'm like, oh, he's cute. I always remember him being cute. And so then I shot him a message. The letter U, the letter R, attractive. I was in some type of era where I did not even care about anything. So I went for it, and I got a message back, and he said, so are you? Here's my number. He never get on Instagram. And he never got on Instagram again after that day, but he didn't need to, because ever since that day, it's just it's been amazing, literally. I don't know, that one day.
That's awesome. So when he initially said, I don't really get on Instagram that much, did you actually believe him at first? Because I think if it would have been me, I would have been like, okay, you're just saying this to try and make me feel special. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking in that moment. I definitely wasn't expecting it to turn into what I was wanting a summer fling, and that was the first conversation that we had when we met up. Was like, this isn't gonna be serious. I have to go back to school. And he was like, okay, that's fine. And yeah, I actually did end up going back to school, but it was only for like a few weeks, and it was really difficult. The classes were a lot harder than the ones that I had taken before, and so that then on top of, well, I have this boy waiting for me, and I had kind of started to like wonder if photography was the thing I was wanting to do at that time too. Yeah. So there was a lot of stuff kind of pulling me away, but he helped.
It certainly sounds like it. So you talked about in your story the fact that he was working on learning computer programming, and he knew that you would express interest in photography, and he really encouraged you to work on photography while he was working on coding. And so how do you feel like having that space and support from him to really explore and to also be doing something productive for both of your futures side by side? How was that helpful, having that support system and that encouragement to really help you to explore whether or not that was something that you ultimately would end up doing?
I mean, it's just everything. I feel like it kind of goes back to what we were talking about, the friends, just having those people in your life that make you feel safe, that make you feel like you being you is exactly what you're supposed to be doing, and everything just kind of lines up, and that's how it was. We kind of had got to the point in our relationship where, I mean, I was at his house all the time, so we weren't just gonna sit and watch Netflix all the time. We had to start, transitioning into being real people that just live side by side instead of just dating and being obsessed with each other.
Yeah.
And so he kind of got into coding, and he would sit there and teach himself how to code, and eventually he just suggested to me, why don't you get more into photography and try that out more? And once I did, it just took over my life completely.
That's really awesome. I totally know what you mean about having somebody there that helps you really see your own potential and encourages you to really try things, because up until my partner that I have now, I'd never had that support system where if you said, hey, I'm kind of interested in this, I don't know whether or not to explore it. I never had that person that just said, okay, do it, because the worst thing that's going to happen is you try it and you find out it's not for you. And so knowing what that's like, having that now, I can identify with you, because I know that that is such a big boost and means so much to have somebody who's basically like a cheerleader for you, wanting to see you succeed.
Yeah, and if you don't try new things, you might never find the thing for you. There's so many things out there, whether it be hobbies or jobs or anything like that, that if you don't experience it, you never know what's out there for you.
That is so true.
Having those people. Yeah,
most definitely. Well, and the thing is I think a lot of times we all have our fear of failure will keep us from trying things, but it's okay to try things even if you don't know for sure that they're going to work out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Most definitely. So you said that even though you were having fun exploring photography, you still did really want to use your degree and find an engineering job, which makes a lot of sense to me. So with that in mind, you started serving at Red Lobster to pay the bills while you were job hunting, and you were excited when you landed your first big engineering job interview. So can you tell me how this interview went and actually ended up pushing you fully into the arms of photography?
It was unexpected when I was walking in that, this is gonna be my last engineering job interview ever and my first. But when I was walking out, it was kind of clear to me. I kind of bombed the interview, let's just say. We had to do like some kind of placement test and then some kind of just, I don't know, I just didn't do well. And then when we actually were kind of talking through the interview at the end, the interviewer said to me, I can tell that you don't get interviewed very often.
Which, first of all, pause for a second, because that's unbelievably rude to make that assumption, because you can be a really confident person, but that doesn't always necessarily translate in an interview. And I feel like completely judging somebody based off of that 15 minutes, half hour, sometimes maybe an hour, isn't the best thing. So for him to make that judgment call like that, that's pretty rude.
I felt that way too. Like, I may or may not have posted a Facebook status about it when I left. Oh my God, I'm such a millennial. I'm realizing that the more I talk. But I felt like in that moment, after I kind of cooled off from the initial, like, he was trying to help. He really was trying to give me some pointers, because he said, you have to bring a pen in with you to every interview and, do this and do that. And as I was kind of leaving, I was just like, the job search sucks. Like,
It really does suck.
it's not fun. It's not fun. If you are out of college, then it is one of the worst things. And I was just over it. One interview in, I was already over it. And I said, you know what? Screw this. I'm gonna make my own position. I'm gonna make my own way in life. And yeah, I did.
That's really awesome. I think it takes everybody kind of having that certain moment to figure out, for those who are creative especially, I don't know that having a boss is for me, or I don't know that having someone else dictating what I'm doing every day is for me. And I think it takes every creative who wants to venture out on their own a different amount of time to figure out that, one, this is how I feel, but two, that it's okay to think in terms of outside of that normal 9-to-5 daily grind that we're all kind of programmed when we're growing up to think that this is what you're supposed to do. You know what I mean?
I'm still trying to unprogram my mind from that. Even.
Okay. You know what? That makes a lot of sense, because when you think about it, especially people who are kind of in our age range, our parents were, that's how they were raised to believe, is you work a 9-to-5 steady, and that's how we're all raised to believe. And so when that's what you're taught growing up, it does take a long time to get yourself out of that mindset, or to feel like you're not living up to that productivity level.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So further thinking about you getting closer and closer to where photography is just your main thing, one random Tuesday in 2018, you said you experienced a major aha moment while working a shift at Red Lobster. So can you elaborate on that big aha moment that you had?
It's so weird calling it a big aha moment, because it was the smallest moment.
Sometimes the biggest aha moments are those small moments.
That's what makes it stick out so much in my head as like the moment for me, because I had just finished, I think, serving this large party, and I was just like, whoa, wait a minute. If I work Friday and Saturday, Sunday at Red Lobster, like maybe doing a double on Saturday and Sunday, I can, provide for myself for the whole week, leaving Monday through Thursday available during business hours to kind of go after my photography. And it was a spur of the moment decision. I randomly went up to one of my managers and was like, hey, can I switch my schedule around? And he did it for me. And that was the journey of where we are today.
That's amazing. Okay, so thinking about that, you do your normal job, because that's what we'll call it, whatever normal means, your normal job Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then this leaves you then all those other days, all those 4 days to work on your photography. Now, being able to then look at those 4 days and make the most out of them and prioritize what to do, that leads me to believe that you are probably a very self-disciplined and organized person. Is that an accurate assumption, or is that not the laughter? I'm not really sure.
Oh man, I don't know. Well, I have to be.
You have to be?
You have to be.
Yeah. Okay, so even if you might not necessarily self-identify as those two things, it sounds like you have a really strong drive for what you love.
Yeah.
And I think even if we might not feel that we're naturally the most organized people and the most self-disciplined people, I think sometimes your passion and your drive can override that and help you become that. Is that, do you kind of feel like
Absolutely.
That's how it is for you?
For sure, because in my business life, yes, I'm very organized, I'm prompt, I'm all these things. In my personal life,
not so much.
Not so much, yeah. But
you and I are alike.
We can't be perfect all the time, right?
That is very true. That's so true.
But it is my drive to want to serve my clients so well and want them to be really happy, that, gives me that ability to override and be all of those amazing professional things that we need to be when we need to be.
I can see that. You described yourself as somebody who has a lot of passion, and I can see that, because as soon as you start talking about your clients, you immediately see this fire and you light up. So I can tell this is something that you're extremely passionate about.
Yes, it is.
So let me ask you this. So photography, you grabbed onto it, you're working towards this goal of just simply doing photography and being a business owner. Why do you love photography so much?
Ooh, that's such a great question. The more I do it, the more I love it. I think, first of all, being able to support myself by creating art is just, every artist's dream. And that's
absolutely
incredible in and of itself, that I have maybe like 17 days a year that I actually have to be at work when I'm shooting weddings. Everything else is kind of like a gray area in between. But also just seeing, like materializing my client's heart and their soul and like what they love into artwork that they can look at forever, whether it be a wedding and, you know, these incredible moments, walking down the aisle, you know, someone seeing you for the first time in your wedding dress, like these huge, big, grandiose ideas and emotions that, I mean, how do you convey that? And then you look at a photo of that on your wedding day and it's just,
wow.
I don't know how to articulate it so well.
You're actually articulating it very well.
Oh, good. Yeah. I'm so glad. Just because being able to be the master of those memories and the creator of those moments is just so humbling to me that I, in a way, like have control over people's memories of their greatest day and also the way that they feel about themselves. And I don't know, I love to be a part of that process.
I can definitely tell. Let me ask you this. Okay, so you're a person, we're gonna talk a little bit more about why connection is so important to you later, but I can tell you're a person who can pick up on people's emotions and subtle changes, which I can tell makes you incredible at what you do. Would you describe yourself as an empath?
Oh my God, yes.
Okay, I never want to like put that label on another person purely by observation, but purely by observation, that's kind of what it seems like. So keeping that in mind, you take on a lot of other people's emotions when you're working with clients. How do you then take care of yourself and help to detach from that a little bit and practice self-care so that you're okay too and that you can walk into the next session with your client feeling ready and feeling emotionally and mentally restored?
Oh my God, that's an amazing question. And I love that you asked that because we don't focus on that enough, especially as creatives. Like we just want to give and give and give to our clients, but the truth is that you can't give if you don't have a full cup to give from.
That's a great way to put it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's been a journey to find that, especially, you know, at the beginning when you just want to build your business and you're going to do anything to kind of get your name out there. It's hard to set those boundaries, and that's something that I've really been learning more and more recently, especially with the 2021 wedding season, because everyone rescheduled from 2020 on top of like a fully booked calendar year. So after that year, I said, I need to be better at making these boundaries for myself. I was totally starting to get burnt out.
I can understand that, because especially when you're not working within a specific like 8-hour shift schedule, it's actually really easy to overwork yourself, right?
Oh my God, absolutely, for sure. So just kind of putting certain precautions into place, not taking on as many weddings, knowing what a good recovery period is, not messaging clients on weekends, not messaging after a certain amount of time. And you know, the clients that care about you, they want you to do that.
Right.
They want you to take care of yourselves. And if a client doesn't do that and, you know, wants to push you outside of that, maybe they're not a great client to have.
Sure.
But yeah, I think it's just setting those boundaries, understanding what you need to do to show up to work 100%, and respecting yourself, honoring yourself, loving yourself enough to give yourself what you need. You know that little voice deep down that says, don't take that job. You don't actually want to, but then you want to send this. No, don't do it. Listen to that voice and you will be so happy that you did.
I think a comforting thing for all creatives to remember is, especially when you're initially getting started, there is that push to, I need to take every job that comes at me, because like you said, you're trying to build a client base, but you're also trying to make money. And so I almost feel like that's something that literally every single creative has to walk back from and start to figure out how to prioritize and how to even learn how to turn down jobs, because for a lot of creatives, that's a really hard thing to do.
Absolutely.
And recognizing that your own mental health is important and that your own well-being and happiness is important, while also sustaining your business. So it's a fine balance to walk, for sure.
It is. And the more that I'm finding, the more that you respect and honor yourself, the better that you're going to do at work, the more productive you're going to be, the more that you're going to get done. Just forcing yourself to sit in front of your computer and edit 200 more photos. I have to do it now. Maybe taking a 10-minute break and coming back, will make you go faster. So.
Absolutely. I get how it's kind of hard to fight against your nature to just stay sucked into it. Because I'm a person that I will get hyper-focused on things, and so once I get going, it's hard to pull myself away. So I can see how even, deciding to take that 10-minute break and stepping away could be really difficult when you're in the zone. So I feel like it's kind of like getting to know yourself a little bit and your own limits with
Very
it.
much.
Is that accurate?
Absolutely, because when you're not doing 20 weddings a year, you don't know what it's like. And you're like, oh, let me just take on all these weddings. And then once you have them, you're like, wow, this is exhausting. So it is all about learning yourself, constantly checking in with how you're feeling, and then using that to make better decisions for your future work schedule that you create.
Definitely. So I would love for you to tell me about your company, Vibe Garden.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I love talking about it. So Vibe Garden is radical personalization is what I like to use, because we talked about how much I care about my clients, and I love creating and preserving these memories for them, and I can't do that without being really invested in getting to know them really well. Especially if it's a wedding day where we're going to be working together for upwards of a year, sometimes 2 years before the day actually comes around. So it's all about just really getting to know people, developing a fun relationship with them. I have a ton of different fun points of contact that we'll have throughout the year that we're working together. And even outside of weddings too, I will do like some seniors and family, and it's the same thing. I just want to, tell me about your family members. Let's talk about what your favorite things to do together. Where do you like to go together? I like to view photos as a time capsule. We're not just
I like that.
taking a picture of how you look today and this is what we're going to remember. No, we want to remember, like, senior pictures, I think, is a good way to think of it. Who were you during that person? Who were you during your senior year, during your high school years? Like, let's include your extracurriculars that you like to do. Is there a certain place that you like to go? Are there any friends that you might want to include in your pictures that are a huge part of your, senior experience? So it's all, to me, about just illustrating and representing who you are very intentionally in your photographs with using certain props or locations or people.
I love that. So kind of walk me through what it looks like. We'll focus on a wedding client.
Sure.
So from the moment you have point of contact with them through your process, what does your process look like with a couple leading up to their wedding?
Ooh, so fun. Oh my gosh, it gets me excited. I'm thinking about the wedding this weekend and everything that we've been through together, and I can't wait to watch them get married. See, it takes strangers and it makes them very close friends of mine that I'm like invested in, and I'm excited to see, their big day that they put all of this work and energy in come to fruition.
That's wonderful.
So we start with, usually I'll just get on a call with someone when they first reach out and just kind of pick their brain and, see just kind of who they are and what their story is and what they're passionate about. And then if they decide to go with me, I'll meet them again and dig a little bit deeper into just the people that they care about, the moments that they care about the most. Every relationship is different. Everybody has different familiar relationships that will be at the wedding, and I just want to dig into everything that matters to you and make it matter to me. So after that, we'll do an engagement session so I can get pictures of them for, their wedding websites or their invitations, and they can see how I am behind the camera and just kind of develop that rapport.
I was going to say, that's probably a really good opportunity prior to that hectic weekend to really get to know them a little bit better.
Exactly, and it's not like I'm showing up and taking pictures of you and meeting you at the same time.
Right.
We've developed this relationship ahead of time. So after that, I will do a timeline planning meeting, which I actually have one later today.
Awesome.
But we'll walk through the entire day of their wedding, and I'll give them a bunch of different ideas. Like if I know that someone's dog is really important to them, I'll be like, oh, do you want to bring your dog for the getting ready portion? Or some people, like, their grandparents are really important to them, so I'll be like, maybe we'll do a special reveal with your grandparents before you walk down the aisle and like make a special moment with them.
I love it.
And then after that initial kind of planning meeting, I'll do multiple planning phone calls after that, just checking in, updating them, see if we need to change the schedule at all. On the day of, then I'll show up. It'll be super duper fun. I'm like very high energy. I always just like hype the person up.
I'm not surprised at all, because your overall energy, I feel like I've probably been smiling this entire time, but you have a very infectious, positive, upbeat energy, which I can imagine on a wedding day is exactly what you would want, right?
Yes. Yes. I don't want to toot my own horn, but people do tell me that often. Like, it's just, I love to see people happy. It comes back to just like, I love people, and especially in an environment where it's all about love and everyone's happy. And a couple that I've been working with now for close to 2 years, seeing everything come to fruition is amazing. And then after the wedding day, I will bring them in, and I have like an in-home theater system in my studio.
Wow.
So we'll pop champagne and they'll see their photos for the first time, and I'll usually help them design a wedding album as well. So it's not just me showing, it's a full-on experience from the beginning to end.
Yeah, it sounds like you are creating a full-on relationship with them. And what a cool way for you to literally get to see in front of you the reaction and the appreciation for the work that you've done. That has to be incredibly gratifying for you.
And I didn't realize how lucky I am to have that until actually just recently, someone from last year, actually Tiernan, helped me film this wedding. Our Zarzak Sankrant wedding, the mom reached out to me, and it was sometime in 2021. She just reached out to me yesterday and said,
wow.
I was just looking through the photos and just wanted to say thank you so much. These are amazing.
Oh, that's
like
wonderful.
Everything. And my boyfriend was like, he does concrete for a living. People don't reach out to me 2 years later saying thank you so much for my concrete. I look at it every day. I love it so much. So I'm very thankful for that, because I'm a person, seeing through my story, I need those people around me to support me, encourage me, like help me go the distance that I can go. And so having those reactions is always just incredible, especially because I do pour my heart and fucking soul into it.
I can tell. Wow.
So it's nice to have that positive.
I bet. Tiernan was also very complimentary of how you are when you're actually shooting a wedding, and the fact that you're constantly looking for those little moments and really good at capturing those little moments. So I can see how you would be very on top of that, and especially considering the homework that you do leading up to it to really get to know them. Mm-hmm. I could see how that would give you some special insight onto what to look for on the day of.
And that's the reason exactly why I do it. And then going back to the empath thing too, emotional intelligence is so important to capture that frame at the exact moment when they have the biggest smile, or right when they're wiping the tear. Like, that's hard to do.
Yeah, almost definitely. So what would you say to a younger, or even maybe not younger, just someone who like you, who is a creative, and they're really doing that mental math of deciding, should I plunge fully into this? Should I leave what to me I know is comfortable and safe? And because I'm sure for you with the engineering thing, because you had that skill set, it made sense and was very safe for you to then walk into that. So what advice would you give to someone who is wanting to step out, but they're still dealing with the fear and maybe the lack of self-confidence to actually do it? What advice would you give them?
I think visualize what you want for yourself and the person that you want to be and what you want for your life, and do it often. And if you're finding yourself being moved and you have this image of what you want your life to be, I fully believe that we have that for a reason, and it's because that's what our lives are supposed to be. So if you're someone who's feeling that way, please act on it. And it doesn't have to, it can, that Tuesday at Red Lobster was the tiniest decision. I just by happenstance, asked my manager if he would switch my schedule around, and he said yes. Like, I wasn't even expecting, it wasn't this big, it's in our daily decisions that we propel our lives forward with what we want. So
that's really good advice. So then, thinking about your business as a whole, do you have a client story that sticks out in your head as something that has had a lasting impact on you and has really lodged in your brain as a unique experience with a client?
The first one that comes to mind is someone who actually, their father was passing away, and she hadn't been married yet, and she knew he probably wouldn't make it to the wedding day. So she still wanted to have like a very special moment with him, and maybe have some footage that she could potentially use down the line if she wanted to. So she hired me to create this kind of day with her dad of what her wedding day would be like. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I helped her, come up with what we would do and how we would do it, and do like a little first look with him, and then we had him walk her down the aisle, and then we had them do a first dance, and between the time I was editing it and the time I delivered it, he actually passed.
Wow.
And so giving her the opportunity to hear her dad's voice again, like new words that she hadn't heard him speak, was, just absolutely incredible to be able to have that. The power to give that to somebody will always stick out to me as a reason why I love this job so much, because life is gone and moments are gone, but photography is like time travel. It's the only thing that will take you back, and I feel so proud to have that ability to create, you know, those representations for people of all of these amazing, deep, wonderful feelings that we have about life that we don't know how to articulate.
Gosh, I love that you have such a strong, intimate understanding of the gift that you're giving to people. I can tell that that very much carries over into how you approach it, and that's such an awesome thing.
Thank you.
So, like I said at the beginning, I can tell that the concept of connection is incredibly important to you and is woven throughout the course of your business and how you approach dealing with your clients. So, why is connection such an important thing to you?
You know, I never noticed that about myself until you pointed that out, and I love that, and I can't wait to kind of meditate on that and see what other self-realizations I can have from that. But I think overall it's what we have. Like, it's the only thing that we have.
That's true.
Really.
That's true.
I mean, without other people in this world, like what would I be? Like, I couldn't be here. Like, I couldn't exist. And so just exploring that and honoring that, and obviously I'm fascinated by that. It's something that I look forward to exploring kind of more in my own head of why.
Yeah.
But it's just, to me, it's the only thing. It's what we have that connects us and gives us meaning to life.
Most definitely. One thing that you said in your story that really stuck out to me was talking about how you don't just like to help create the connection with you and your client, but you like to help them connect better with themselves. Can you elaborate just a little bit on what you mean by that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, our self-concepts of ourselves are kind of constantly changing and evolving, and it's difficult, especially in the world of social media where we have avatars that actually show us, you know, exactly kind of how to self-conceptualize. So I think when you look at yourself in a photo and you feel beautiful and you feel that you can feel the love of people around you and you can just tell how much people love you, like, that has a huge impact on your self-concepts and the way that you think about yourself. And I think the way that we talk to ourselves too. I know I have terrible self-talk. I know a lot of people in our generation
A lot of people do. Yeah.
Exactly. And so if I can, through like photographs, help you maybe see some beauty in yourself that you didn't necessarily see, or help you realize the love around you that you maybe don't appreciate every single day, like, that can have a huge impact on the love that you have for yourself.
I love it. Cassidy, you are wonderful. Aww. Thank you so much for doing this. You are what I would describe. I have a few friends in my life and people that I call light people, because they're people that you want to just be around them and soak up their energy. And they're also people that are just a positive force in the world. You're a light person, and you're welcome. I really do mean it. And I can tell that you don't just, I went and I looked at your work. Your work is wonderful. It's incredible.
Thank you.
And so besides just having a high skill level, I can tell that you impact people and you're impacting our community in a way that is long lasting, and you're helping people to build connections, which is what we care very deeply about here. So thank you so much for being willing to come and help me get to know you better, but also for other people here in town to be able to get to know you better and hear how passionate you are about your work and your company and about giving this amazing gift to other people.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Absolutely.
Thank you for your insight.
Oh, you're welcome.
I feel like you took all of my like mumbo jumbo and made it something that I can understand more about myself, honestly, even too. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. Anytime we can use this as a way to help people gain better insight on themselves, I consider that a big win, because I think besides constantly wanting to understand other people, we want to understand ourselves too. So being able to be a part of that is wonderful. So thank you for giving me the opportunity and for giving us the opportunity to do that as well.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. If you would, look right at that camera and tell people where they can find you and your company on social media, and if you have anything that you'd like to promote.
You can follow me on Instagram at Vibe Garden Images, VIBEGARDENIMAGES. You'll see all of my new work there and just kind of follow along with what we're doing. I also have a TikTok at Vibe Garden and a Facebook at Vibe Garden Images and Video. I do have about 6 wedding dates left for 2023. So if you're getting married and you're looking for a photographer, I would love to meet you and hear more. And I'm opening my books for 2024 weddings very, very soon as well. And I have, I think like 1 or 2 photo shoot spots left for this fall.
Awesome. Well, to all of you who are listening and watching, thank you so much for joining us once again. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure to hit that subscribe button. If you haven't listened to us but have interest in just listening and not watching sometime, we are on both Spotify and iTunes. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook at Heart of Glass the Pod. Once again, we thank you so much for joining us to learn a little bit more about another human who makes up the heartbeat of the Glass City. Thanks, and we'll see you again next time.